What's up, everybody? Welcome to another CoraxandCoffee unboxing video. I'm your host, Pete Steele, and today we're going to be unboxing what everyone is talking about this summer, Foundations of Rome by Arcane Wonders. I'll put this down, it's a big heavy box. This is the Emperor edition we have here today, so it has the 5th player tray as well as a lot of the module expansions and things like this. This is not the Sundrop edition, so the miniatures are not washed. That's okay, I'll probably take care of that later. So yeah, let's go to the table in just a second. But before we do that, I just want to say please, please, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, share Corax and Coffee stuff with your friends. You know, maybe watch a couple of videos. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go to the table and unbox this beast. Oh, it's like 20 pounds. All right, here's the Foundations of Rome box. It is massive, so this shrink is kind of loose, so I can kind of tear into it a little bit. Maybe not. It's thick. So stand by. Here we go. So this box actually comes up this way. It's coming towards you. Almost there. All right. And there's nothing inside here, just cardboard here. And there we're hit with a thank you. To all our backers, thank you. And here you actually can see the printed names of all of the Kickstarter backers. And actually, that's not nearly all of them. They are also on this side of the box, Kickstarter backer names, and this side of the box. And here's the front of the game. But if I hook my arm around so it doesn't all spill out, this is going to be so dangerous. There are names on this side of the box as well. So, if we, already losing silica gel, do not eat. So rather than have it being a box where you unload it from, the top down, right? It unloads from the side here, and you can actually see, I can pull these out, there are all these colored trays. So you have a purple tray here, and a blue tray, and a red tray, and a green tray, and a yellow tray, and a black tray right on top. You can see that kind of in the upper portion of the frame. And then there is this vertical tray stored here. And we'll actually start there. So I'm gonna put this back just a little bit. You can still kind of see it. If we open up this, right here you've got the Foundations of Rome. A little bit there. We are hit with a victory point tracker board and a population tracker board. And this is double layered. You can see there, so it's recessed, so if you put in a tracker or cubes or whatnot into this board, they won't slide around. Very nice. Nothing on the back. And next we are hit with, okay, so we've got a, not the game board, but kind of a tracker board. And this game has 3 eras in it, so you have 3 decks of cards here. And then this is where you place the deeds. So you have kind of like this open sliding market for deeds on the board. And it looks like they cost 2 money, 3 money, 4 money, 6, 8, and 10 money. And I think they slide down and become less expensive the longer they stay on the board, is my understanding. This is single-sided. And this is really nice thick cardboard. So you have this nice artwork of, it kind of looks like the Roman Senate, I suppose. Yeah, very nice. This high quality board. Next, we're hit with the actual game board. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. So here, I have this box in the way. This is a a smaller game board. But move this even farther back. You can see. So it's kind of, this game board is kind of like a battleship type grid, right? So you have A1 through A8, and then B1 through B8, all the way through H1 through H8. And they have this nice kind of picture of the landscape of Rome. We've got this harbor here. And then, yes, on the other side, you just have basically a larger game board. So you have A1 through A10 rather than through A8, all the way through J1 through J10, so 100 spaces for larger player counts. And you could play on this side of the board with smaller player counts. There's no need. You wouldn't get as much of this nice picture. You get more of this picture on the other side, and it's kind of easier to restrict yourself to the smaller board. That's quite nice. And next, we bring this back over and just bring this back into frame a little bit, and a little bit more, a little bit more. See all these nice little trays here. Now we're hit with the rule book. And you've got an itemized components list and core game components. Now, this version of the game is the Emperor Edition. There are 3 versions of this game. Like I already said in the intro, this is the Emperor Edition, which is kind of the mid-tier. Kind of weird to say this huge thing is the mid-tier game, but you also have the Senate Edition, which is only 4 players and does not have some of the things which I'll show you later. But then there's the Emperor Sundrop Edition, which has everything already washed to bring out some of the accents, and that's not this. This is the mid-tier, this is the Emperor Edition. All right, so core game components, and then you have an expansion module components list. The first time you play, game setup. Game setup continued. How to play. Lots of pictures, lots and lots of pictures. Construct a building. And the end of an era. Residential building scoring, civic building scoring here. And Punch Deeds, end of game, optional rules, and monuments expansion, which we do have here in the Emperor Edition. Monument buildings. Additional content, trading and stealing module, and I believe all of this comes, I think, in this edition of the game. We'll find out. Objectives module, stealing, invocations module, will of the console cooperative module, which I believe does not come in this game, but I'm not positive about that. We'll find out again. Gameplay, special rules, Architect's Codex. So here, this is really nice. It looks like here you kind of get, we'll look at all these models in the flesh or in the plastic later, but it looks like in these trays gives you an idea of what goes where, so you can put things back in their trays easily enough. Same thing for, it looks like this is for the monuments, monument storage guide. And then here, oh, this is quite nice. You have monuments art and lore. So just little ditties on each of the monuments. Don't know how historically accurate any of this is. Maybe some of it's based on history. Historically informed, probably, but you can look at that. Oh, there's a nice picture here. And that is the rule book. So the actual rules really only go to page 24. And they realistically start on page 4. So it's sort of like 21 pages of rules and big text, tons of photos. So this is actually really not that bad. So I'm actually going to jump in here and say that I really, really love this rulebook. It's a fairly simple game, so it can be a fairly simple rulebook. But what I love about this rulebook is that every time they talk about, they go through the rules, they talk about a particular component, they put pictures of that component or components again in the rules. Throughout the rulebook, it's like, oh, we're talking about these components, and what they do at that phase of the game, they have pictures of those components. So as you're going through the game, maybe you're playing your first game as a teaching game for yourself or your friends, you're going through, you're like, oh, what do we have to do now? We need these components. Here's what we do with these components. Here's the picture. It's wonderful. More rule books should do that. Again here, sometimes there are repeat images of the components, but throughout the entire book, they do that. And with the additional content, that doesn't come with all editions of the game, but they make that clear at the beginning. But with additional content, it's like, oh, here are the additional content components. So grab these and go through these rules as you're holding these components in your hand, so you can learn by doing as well as reading. I think that's just fantastic. So I really love the rule book for those things. And then at the end, this isn't really rule book related, this is lore related. You have all this monument picture and lore, which is really quite nice. That just adds a nice touch, a nice flavor. So really enjoy this rule book. Keep it up, Arcane Wonders. Very nicely done. So here we have punch boards. We have a first player token, cardboard token. And actually I will say, well, it didn't come in the box when this game was sent to me. There's this cardboard token, but this version of the game, I think, has this replacement first player token, which is a metal washed, I don't know who this is a statue of, but yeah, it's, it is some form of metallic material or metal, which replaces this cardboard token for funsies, so why not? No need for that, but why not? And then you have these cardboard tokens for coins, which punch out quite easily. They are double-sided. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. So there you go. Those are included. And here you have, oh, so maybe the will of the console is included in this game. So you have cardboard punch outs for buildings for an AI, maybe? I'm not really sure. They are single-sided. Again, these punch outs are fine. I'm not sure why you would use these rather than the models. But again, I haven't read about this module, so these punch outs are fine. It gives you the iconography for what each of the buildings does. So this is a thing you have. Then we are hit with more silica gel, do not eat. And you're hit with translucent, looks like full centimeter cubes, and I believe those will go, yeah, on this tracker board. So you have them in 5 colors, so you get 2 of each for 5 colors, and yeah, these go on these little, stick in there just fine, no problem, right? Cool. Next we have, in this Emperor edition of the game, I don't think these come in the Senate version of the game, but you actually get replacement coins, metal coins. They still put the cardboard coins in the game, so if you run out, you can use those, but these are actually really nice metal coins. You can see each side of them right there. So those are the 1 gold or silver or unit coins. trying to remember the name of the unit. Talents? Was it talents in Rome was the unit? Maybe that was a weight of silver, I want to say. If my high school history brain is doing its job. And then you have your 3 unit, let's say talents of silver, even though I think a talent was weight. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. History of Roman currency aside, you have these nice metal coins. So, always a fan of quality metal coins over cardboard nonsense. So you get those, very nice. And then these baggies, and there's probably no need to pull all of these out, but these I think get stuck in the tops of the buildings, the model buildings, and I think you do this like before the first time you play. We saw a little bit of that in the rules, and we'll get to that in just a second when we pull the model buildings out. But there are 6 baggies of these, you know, corresponding to the different colors of the train. So there's purple for the purple player, blue for the blue player, red for the red player, green for the green player, surprise, surprise, yellow for the yellow player, maybe I already said that, and black for the monuments tray. So we'll come back to these momentarily. Now, as some of you who know, I like to save cards for last, but in this game, we're going to save the models for last. That just seems appropriate. So let's do the cards now. So, I'm just going to open up all of these real quick. All right, so let's start with these. These are the deed cards. And you have the same back, and again, this picture of maybe somebody in the Senate. And I thought these were going to be divided into eras. Maybe shuffle them, divide them into eras, not really sure. Okay, so these are kind of these deed cards, which again, really they just correspond to a square on the grid of the game board. So C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, C9, and they're in different colors. Some of them are in different colors because it corresponds to different player counts. So you can see 2+ players on these, and then which are all gray, and then 3+ players in the blue, 4+ players in the purple. Again, with the gray, we're down to 2+ players for D's. And you see the same thing for all of these, the exact same stuff, F, and so on and so forth. Looks like a 12, but I think it's, you know, L2, L3, L4, L5, L6, rather than, you know, so on and so forth, right? And then here we have, yes, okay, so I'm skipping to the back of this deck because we started with C4 there, and then here in this deck you have the rest of the deed cards starting with A1. It's not like they're missing all the way through C3 yet. So this whole deck right here is your deed card deck. That goes on that market board that I showed you. So that's what you have there. And then here, you have these have the same backs as well. So we'll come back to those. Player roll, we'll come back to those. Okay, it looks like yes. So, okay, what's this? This looks like it's kind of a player aid. Okay, this looks like a player aid for the AI, the will of the console AI, I think. is what that looks like. Okay, and then you have these player aid cards, and they're double-sided. There are both sides of them, so a turn guide and an icon guide. Interestingly, there are only 4 of them, which, because for the Senate edition of this game, you only have 4 player, you don't get the 5th player tray. But there aren't 5 of them in this Emperor edition of the game, so that is a mistake on their part. Very, very minor mistake, but it is a mistake. So there could be a 5th card somewhere else here. I could have missed it, but I don't think so. There should be a 5th card for the Emperor edition. Minor gripe, but it is a gripe. Everything else about this game so far has basically been perfect, and people are not perfect, so there you go. These cards here, which have the same back as the deed cards, are abrupt taxation. Okay, so not exactly sure what type of card this is, but abrupt taxation. You may discard this card at any time on your turn. All other players must pay 7 silver to the bank. If a player cannot, they pay as much silver as they are able. Okay, so silver is the unit of money in the game. Abundance. You may discard this card when you take the buy deed action. Immediately take a second deed of lesser value without paying the cost. Blessing of Fortune. You may discard this card when you take the take income action. Gain 1 silver for each commercial building on the city board, regardless of player ownership. Blessing of Haste. You may discard this card when you take the construct a building action. You may construct up to 2 additional buildings this turn. Child of Jupiter. Use this card when playing with the Monument's expansion. Ongoing effect, you may ignore all requirements listed on Monument cards. So it looks like these are special abilities that maybe people can get. That I don't know if these are shuffled into the deed cards, but I assume so because they're has the same back. Patron of Travelers, ongoing effect. You have an extra 2 plus 2 citizens. So these are quite cool. Looks like a module you may be able to play with or without. I don't really know. Let's do player roles here. Blessed. At the start of the game, after all players have placed their lot markers, you may select and take 1 additional deed card from the deed board. Replace that space on the deed board with the top card of Era 1's deed deck. Eager. Whenever you purchase a deed card, you may pay plus 2 silver to immediately build a size 1 building on that lot as a bonus action. Efficient. Each of your size plus 2 commercial buildings provide plus 1 silver. The silver counts for both your take income action and 1 scoring for adjacent civic buildings. Eloquent. You have an extra plus 2 citizens. Fortunate. You start the game with an additional 5 silver. Frugal. When you purchase a deed card, you may pay minus 1 silver if it is orthogonally adjacent to another lot you own. Greedy. Whenever another player constructs a building adjacent to one of yours, they must pay you 1 silver. If they cannot, they cannot construct that building. Hospitable. Each of your size plus 2 plus residential buildings provide plus 1 citizen. This citizen counts for both your total population and 1 scoring for adjacent civic buildings. Militant. Whenever you construct a building adjacent to one owned by another player, you may take 1 silver from that player if they have silver. You may only choose 1 player even if there are multiple players with adjacent buildings. So I've read through about half of these. You can pause if you want to read some of these other ones. I will show them all because I've basically already done that. So these are kind of cool player roles. They call them player roles, but they're essentially player powers, asymmetric player powers, which is cool. And this is the monument deck. I'll have this back. And then it looks like, okay, we saw a power where you could ignore monument requirements or something like that, but apparently each of these has a requirement. Triumphal Arch, residential requirements. This building must be constructed on a lot on the edge of the board. Circus Maximus. Remember, if you ever saw Ben-Hur, this building was featured prominently in Ben-Hur, or at least a mock-up of it. Requirements, you must have 14 plus deed cards in your discard pile. The Colosseum, well, we all remember this from basically every historic movie about Rome ever made, including, Gladiator, right? Hopefully some of you have actually traveled to Rome. I know it's a very privileged thing to say, but that'd be awesome, right? I've never been, I would love to go. Moving back to the game. The Colosseum, civic requirements. When built, each player with at least one adjacent building gains +3 silver. At least we don't kill people for sport anymore, for the most part. Justice, Arc of Justice is long. We're not there yet. Anywho, yeah, Rome was really bloody. And then you have all of these other monument buildings here, Lighthouse, Pantheon. You see all these requirements. I really like the artwork on these cards. I like not just the, the wireframe artwork, but, on the outside of the cards, you have this, this parchment type effect or weather type effect. Very well done. Very, very well done. I'm very, very pleased with kind of how everything in this game thus far, again, except for that missing 5th player aid card. I'll get over it, unless I don't. I might. Probably not, but maybe, but probably not. Okay, so now here we have objectives with number 8s on them. Maybe they cause, I don't know. I don't know why they all have 8 on the back, but they do. Right here we're hit with a barcode. That's not great. Okay, so I think these are, that's weird. There are no barcodes in ancient Rome. Fewest number of buildings, individualist, fewest civic buildings, artisan, fewest residential buildings, investor, fewest number of deed cards in your discard pile, socialite, fewest commercial buildings, elitist, fewest size 2 buildings, egalitarian, fewest size 4 buildings, developer, largest contiguous area of size 1 and size 3 buildings. Count the number of contiguous lots of size 1 and 2 buildings you own. Patrician, largest contiguous area owned by 1 player. Count the total number of contiguous lots, empty or with buildings on them. Competitor, most buildings not adjacent to any of your own buildings. Expansionist, most buildings and or lot markers on the edge of the board. Senator, most civic buildings on the edge of the board. Magnate, most commercial buildings on the edge of the board. Prefect, most residential buildings on the edge of the board. Contractor, most size 1 buildings. Surveyor, most size 1 buildings on the edge of the board. Right, most size 2 buildings. And finally, Visionary, most size 2 buildings on the edge of the board. And I guess maybe you get that many victory points if you complete those objectives, and they're all worth 8, which is interesting. That's just a guess. So I think these can be open or hidden objectives. Again, I've not gone through the rules, so I'm kind of making stuff up based on what makes sense. Do not take my commentary as a rules guide. Oh yes, there it is. Okay, I take it back. I'm so sorry, Arcane Wonders. There is the 5th. There is the 5th player aid card. I should not have complained about it so much. It is there, so I stand happily humble and corrected. Yay! Okay. And then it looks like here we have even more of the deed cards that go in this deed card pile. So that should be all the deed cards now. Very, very happy with the artwork on these cards. Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Okay. So let's put all of these cards to the side. We spent a lot of time there, which I'm happy about, but okay. So now, what everybody has been waiting for, the monuments here on top, which we're going to do last, of course. And then now you have these trays of models, and there are 5 trays. And yes, I will go through the models, but just show each of these trays real quick. Each player has their own. So there you go. Tons and tons of these models. So we're gonna put all these back because again, these trays are identical, except for the colors. And we're gonna go through the models on the green tray because green is my favorite color. And I'm kind of running the show here, so if you don't like green, sorry, not sorry. Okay, so here we have, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are 8 deed markers, I believe. So when you purchase a deed, purchase the cards for the deeds, then you place one of these markers on the corresponding A1 through A10, J1 through J10, depending on the number of players, so that to mark that you own it. So these are in your color. Kind of look like little pots or little columns, or pots on columns. And then you have 6 of these just pots, and I don't know what these are for. They are different size from the larger ones, so they clearly have a different function. I don't know what it is. I have to go through the rules and play the game. And then aside from I've already kind of said this, but aside from the color of your tray and the color of your markers here, everything else is identical for the 5 players. The buildings are identical in color and number and things like that. So there are 24 buildings per tray, and there are some unique buildings, not between the players, like I just said, but you know, you get one-offs of some of the larger buildings, and then for some of the smaller buildings, there are duplicates. You have duplicates here, duplicates here, duplicates here, 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 and here. Maybe that's it. But I'll show you, if you take all these buildings off, you can also see you have kind of this guide of what buildings are supposed to go where when you put them back, which is really nice. So when you place a building, you can see based on your own kind of tray, which is also basically your player board, what buildings you've placed because they're on the board, and then you get those powers. So at the end of a round or era, or maybe something like that, you can kind of look through here and look at all the empty spots, which gives you this information. You say, oh, I get these things, because if they're not here, they've been placed on the board. Very clever. Okay, so you can see kind of what all of the names of the buildings are, but because I just realized, because I have not spent tons of time with this game yet, I don't know what everything is called, so we're actually going to pull out another tray, show you maybe what everything is called. So down here, this is a domus, which gives you 1 population, I believe. Very nice. You get 2 of those. And this is the Domus Maxima, which gives you 2. And this is a pottery studio. There are 2 of those, and then there are 2 bakeries here, it looks like. And going to the next row here, we have an insula. It's kind of your corner piece. And this is another insula, but it is just a straight, like 3-unit piece. And then we have the artisan forum here. And another artisan forum, but it is a corner rather than a straight piece. And here we have the Grand Insula, which is a square. Remember the red square 2x2s in Tetris and Project Owl and polyomino games. You've got a Grand Insula that is the 1x4. And then we have a foundry. And another foundry, which is 1x4. And a fountain. And a library. Why is the library so small? I guess, pre-printing press, there weren't that many things to put in a library. Here's a resplendent library, a little bit larger. This is where the large text scrolls were. No? Okay. We have a majestic fountain. Luxury garden. We have a marketplace. And a market, which is the 1x1. And a garden. All right, so we said have these pieces here. And so this is a 2 population thing. So we need to find a 2 population thing. And then you'll see on the top of the buildings, these little hole pegs there. And you can see that they're not perfectly round. So they're guiding you about which direction to put these in, which is really nice. So you won't mess that up. Because I would bet you that once these things go in, they are designed to stay there. So because I did not get the sundial version of this game, I'm not going to push mine all the way in because I do plan on manually hand washing my buildings, and I'll put some of those pictures up on the socials to show people who are interested in that. Because the point of this game really is to have amazing table presence, and it will look a lot better with a wash. So I won't push that all the way down, but that's kind of what it'll look like. So you can see like each building has its ability right on the top there. So we'll put that back there, and that goes back there. And as hopefully you saw, each of these buildings has a place right on top where their little pegs go. So I'm gonna put this to the side. And we're gonna do the monuments now. Oh, before I show you the monuments, this is one other thing that did not come in the box, in the game box, but came in the shipping box when I got this. So one more thing to show you before we do the grand finale, which will be the monuments models. So this are some tokens that you do use for trading and stealing. And so they have, you know, they're just little tokens that pop out, and they have 2 on one side and 4 on the other for victory points, I think. And so there are 10 of those tokens. You know what I would love is if Arcane Wonders came out with the foundations of Egypt, and then foundations of, you know, XYZ other empires and their cities and things like that. And I know it would be a little bit historically anachronistic unless they did empires that happened around the same time as Rome, plus or minus. But you could build up those empires and then those cities with just as much production value as foundations of Rome, and then you could have modules where there were roads or ships or seas and things in between them, and then you could have economic fights between the cities in a type of civilization building, massive war game, mega game type thing. I realize that will never ever happen, but I can dream. I kind of did have a dream about that last night. Just goes to show you what my subconscious thinks about when I'm sleeping. Massive mega games that are overproduced and full of cool stuff. Anyway, so there's a little insight into my psyche in terms of gaming. But yeah, everyone message Arcane Wonders, say, we need this, we need this. No, I don't think anybody's going to do that, but maybe Foundations of Rome should be enough for me. Anyway, let's get back to the unboxing. The monuments. Have these foam protectors here. Wow. Just wow, wow, wow. Okay. So here, it is not, they don't have the same labels down here, so where's that rule book? Don't have the same label in this tray, but I believe there was no. Yeah, there it is. There is a monuments guide to everything. So now you can, if I hold, you see here, hold this to the side, you can see, this is not really gonna work, but I'll read it out as I go through them. So there it is. So, I'm gonna put this aside, I'm gonna see if we can make this work. So here we have the Pantheon. All right. And next up, we have the Forum Romanum. Right. And next we have the Circus Maximus. Again, remember this from Ben-Hur. Amazing movie. Then this is the Temple of Vulcan. You can see the forge there. Wow, look at that. Look at that, all right. And after Temple of Vulcan, we have Temple of Minerva, which, let's just look at that bird, look at that tree. Yeah, people who are more artistically inclined than I, who really paint all of these, gonna have a heck of a thing. And then here we have the Tower of Wonders, which I believe was the Dice Tower, the Tom Vassell Dice Tower folks edition. So you have this dragon here. Little fantasy in the historical whatever. And then here we have the Temple of Mars. All right, that's number 7, and then number 8. If I can find it here. Sorry. So we have Temple of Neptune. Temple of Neptune here, yeah. You see Neptune's trident there. And then 9 is 9? Lighthouse right here. All right. 9 is lighthouse, and then 10 is right next to it here. 10 is the watchtower. This actually looks a lot like not quite. It should be more of a more elongated, but this reminds me of the Ghostbusters firehouse, to be honest with you. Why not? Okay. And 11, if I can find 11 on here. 11 is supposed to be the Temple of Jupiter. Right here, Temple of Jupiter. Right. And then 12 is the Colosseum. Again, from many movies, but Gladiator is probably the most famous. Which is like a super old movie now, like 20 years old or so. Super old. I say 20 years. I just remember because it came out when I was in high school, so I was aging myself too. The thing about Gladiator, see the theatrical release. See the extended release of Gladiator. The theatrical release is all about action and blood, whatever. The extended release gets much more into the politics. Again, historical fiction, but it really shows that the Gladiator, Russell Crowe, is a minor player, and that it just gets in more politics of the Senate, behind the scenes, and I think it's a much better movie, the extended version of Gladiator. But I like that sort of thing. So back to this game. 13, we have the Royal Winery, and I'm really glad that this is the winery is a 6-unit building. You see all the plants in there. It's quite nice. All the grapes growing. Very cool. And then we have the Regia. It's been a while since I've read my Roman history. I'm not quite sure what this building's about, but it's got cool lines outside. Took 2 years of Latin in high school, and it served me well, but I've not used it since. So 15, statue of Romulus. So we've got Romulus with a hammer, and it looks like a wolf and a tree. Yeah, these sculpts are just fantastic. Fantastic and huge. And 16, here we have the Temple of Venus. I know this is going on for a while, but there's so many cool models to show off and see. Look at that seashell there. All right. And 17 here we have the Temple of Apollo. Temple of Apollo. All right. And then 18 we have the Triumphal Arch. Triumphal Arch right here. Show this side. Just fantastic. And finally, the last of the monuments is the Imperial Harbor right here. And you have looks like a monoreme here rather than a bireme or trireme, but just because of the scale of the thing, it could represent a bireme or trireme. Here just has the one bank of oars there, but yeah, this is gorgeous. This might be actually one of my favorites. All right, so that is all of the monuments models, and again, you have these black little pegs to go in the top of all of the models. But again, I'm going to wash these, and and then put those in. I want to do that sooner rather than later because I'm really excited to play. That is everything that comes in the Foundations of Rome Emperor Edition of this game. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to play, to look at. There's so much stuff in this box. It's like a 20-pound box. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's just do a little outro and see what we think. So there you have it. Foundations of Rome in all of its Emperor Edition, unpainted, unwashed splendor. Like I said, I probably will, I am going to wash all of the models. And for that, I'm probably going to use this Army Painter Dark Tone wash. I've got a few cans of this. It's probably going to take a few cans to wash all of those models, plus all of the monuments. And then I am going to probably spray it down with Army Painter anti-shine varnish as well. So that's the plan. A lot of people are talking about this game, like I said, in the summer of 2022. And, you know, a lot of people are saying it has this incredible table presence when you're playing it, and when you finish the game, you have this Rome, things like this. And other people, probably also the same people, are saying this game is entirely overproduced. There is absolutely no need to have these massive models for the price point to be so high, and so on and so forth. And yes, the price point on this game is quite high. There's no denying that, and that does put it out of reach of a number of people, which is unfortunate. However, part of the point of this game is the table presence, right? I know this isn't really a fair comparison, it's kind of absurd, but, you know, if you had the city of Rome, the historical city of Rome, the modern city of Rome, if all of its buildings were made out of little pieces of cardboard or plywood, it would not be nearly as impressive. The point of this game, of Foundations of Rome, is to have something that you build together with other players, and at the end of the game you have this built city of models. So yes, would the game be less fun if you had, you know, cardboard polyominoes? Undeniably, it would be less fun. It'd be less fun to play, it'd be less fun to interact with. Does that make the mechanics of the game less good? Well, no. Do the mechanics of the game stand independently without the models? That point is more debatable. I haven't tried that, right? I would probably say without all of the additional modules, probably not. It's probably too simple a game. For me, at least. But without the miniatures and all of the extra card modules that you can kind of mix and match and plug and play, that actually kind of makes it a cool modular game. I'm probably not going to create cardboard pieces to try out just for that emotional experience. I'm probably just going to play with my models after I wash them. The point is, I think with the card modules, there is enough of a game to support the level of production that they've done, given that level of production is the point. But not everyone is going to agree with me. Would love to know what you think. I just kind of like put that out there, take the bait, leave a comment. Until next time, we're going to have more unboxing videos in the very near future. I'm your host, Pete Steele. Take care, all.